Hello et bienvenue à cette run de I was gonna be doing it in English for Prac, but yeah, today, welcome to this Diddy Racing run with the three amazing runners. We have Prac City, we have MorKs, and we have Datterban, which are gonna be all are about the same skill level. It's gonna be a very interesting race. And yeah, if I don't know if you guys are all ready. You ready?
I'm not. I thought we had an incentive for the names, but I guess we don't, right?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, maybe we just forgot about it.
Is there an incentive for the names? Can a host confirm?
Well, let me look that up.
Thank you.
Or let's get to that as well. Allô?
Yep.
Yep. Non, il n'y a pas d'incentive.
No, alright, so we are ready then?
Yep. Let me,
Ready?
second. No, I'm not.
You're not?
I'm not able to put a name in. All right, I'm good. All right.
Very good. Ben, you good?
Wait.
Alright, good. So I'm gonna count down. So 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, good luck, racers.
Oh no, my timer.
Alright, so this is gonna be a 100% round of Decon Racing. So you're gonna see runners complete a bunch of challenges to hopefully collect all 47 balloons, all 4 keys, beat all the mini games, beat all the buses. Yeah, it should be about an hour 50, hopefully, if everything goes well. And yeah, the first thing we're gonna see in the overworld here, so for the most part the route is pretty linear. There's a part in the middle where there's some RNG can happen, where there might be differences between the runners, and we'll get to it when we get there. But for the first little bit is gonna be fairly similar. So the first thing is gonna be transforming into planes. So this game is a bit unique when it comes to racing game. There's actually 3 vehicles you can use. Okay, you have a plane, a car, hovercraft, and plane. And the first thing we're going to do is transfer into plane, and we're going to collect all the golden balloons in the overworld. And the reason we're doing this is because route-wise, there are gates which you need a certain amount of balloons to enter. And if we don't collect the overworld ones, it doesn't allow us to just go into an area and then just full clear it. Without those balloons, we would have to like do a bunch of backtracking and whatnot. So going ahead and getting those balloons right away just allows us to basically have better routing and less backtracking. So a great overworld by everyone, and we're gonna go in the first level, Jungle Falls. Straight away, you're gonna see a few things. First of all, as you see MorKs here, getting green boost. The way you get green boost in this game is by when you go over a boost, you want to release the A button, and by doing so, you get a much stronger boost than you would usually get if you just hold the A button. And by releasing the A button as all the way until the boost is finally over, you get a crazy amount of speed, and it also works with the balloons and not only the zippers. So you're gonna see this abused in all the vehicles. And also MorKs is gonna come in on the very first trick. Here is a cutscene skip. So how cutscene skip works, which MorKs got, Prac City got, and unfortunately Ben missed here. The first miss of the run. Yeah. And so the way it works is that at the end of the race, you can pause on the exact same frame you beat the race, and if you do so, you can go down in the menu to return to lobby, but the game actually still counts that you won the race, so you just skip the little cutscene at the end. So that's very fortunate. Alright, so here we have Ancient Lake, the first level with a key. So each world has one level with a key that unlocks the minigame for the world, and Ancient Lake happens to be the race, the track with the key in this world. So the runners have to go a little bit out of their way to get it. And a great cutscene skip by MorKs. Let's see if Prac gets it here. Yes, good job. And it looks like Ben is a bit behind now, but there is a first-time cutscene which you have to see at some point anyway, that Ben had to watch. So he basically lost 20 seconds over the other runners because of that. But he will gain these 20 seconds later, not too far in the future, so... It doesn't look as bad as it is.
Come on.
No, the other way around. it's not as bad as it looks. There you go. 6 in the morning, it's a bit hard sometimes. But yeah, now we have in the Fossil Canyon. One other thing that you might have noticed by now is that we are collecting a bunch of bananas. And bananas in this coin, or if you've played Mario Kart, it's very similar, where which each banana will give you a speed boost. In this game, it's kind of insane though. Each banana individually gives you 2.5% speed and acceleration, up to 10 bananas. So when you are at 10 bananas, you go a lot faster than just if you start the race at 0. So you're gonna see in most cases, our racers are gonna be going a little bit out of their way to make sure they have 10 bananas. Because overall it's gonna greatly increase the speed at which they're going in lap 2 and 3. And let's see if MorKs can get the cutscene skip here. Unfortunately, miss it, so we'll have to watch the first time cutscene here. It's the Fossil Canyon cutscene skip is actually really hard to get. Nice job, Prak, getting it 3 out of 3, I think, for Prak. But yeah, there's something cutscene skip that are way harder than others. There's a lot of factors in which determines how hard it is. Sometimes the games can be very, very laggy near the finish line. Sometimes it is better to boost into it, sometimes it's better to not. There's a lot of different setups. So we always hope that we get you know, the setups that we wish for those, because when you're, for example, missing the blue balloon at the end here, it can be very difficult to get it without the blue balloon because of the lack of lag. But yeah, our racer in Out of Volcano, as you see, we have our first out of bounds. So the play is a bit busted in many ways actually, but one of the ways it is the ability to go out of bounds, which you're gonna see in many levels throughout this run. And so basically what happens here is that we can kind of just fly around and hit a bunch of checkpoints, because fortunately the checkpoints in this game, they extend a lot further than the tracks, so you can just fly around the out of bounds, back and forth, hit all the checkpoints that you need for the lap to count, and complete the lap super quickly. So, and now we are going with track at Tricky. This is going to be an interesting one. So normally you have to drive all the way up the mountain and just kind of like a spiral, and it's kind of boring, to be honest. It's one of the least favorite track of the community usually, but now it's even worse. So what you're going to see Prak here, he's going to go backwards in a certain spot, and he's going to attempt to do a trick. And if he gets it, we should see a wrong way here. And sometimes it might take a few attempts. So we're looking for a wrong way to pop up on the screen. We'll see now MorKs also trying for it. There we go for Prak. And now some magic will happen in a few seconds here. There we go. He just wins the race. It's that easy, guys. Who needs to drive the track? And it looks like MorKs also gets it. Good job. And Ben struggling a bit. So to explain what happened here, this is a checkpoint manipulation. And this one specifically is a bit RNG, actually 50% RNG. So there is a way to kind of trick the game into giving you the end race by hitting a checkpoint which you're not supposed to hit, which is higher than the finish line value. So like each checkpoint in the game has a value, and there's one behind that has a higher value. The problem is there's two checkpoints overlapping, and which one you're getting, the value that you're getting, is essentially 50-50 on which frame you're hitting the checkpoint. And so what the strat is you just keep going in the back, and you do it until wrong ways happen, and then if you have the wrong way on the top, stuck in the screen, it means that you have the right checkpoint, and then if you drive forwards to the next checkpoint, the game will start counting the value down until it reaches the same value of the finish line, and that is what the game sees as finishing the race, is when your value is at the same one as the end of the race. So It's a pretty neat trick, except that it's RNG, so it's actually really bad when you're trying to grind for times, but it's really cool to go fast. And here we see the first minigame, actually pretty simple. Now this is actually the first instance of AI manipulation. If you do the same pattern every time with the plane, with like the same timings, the same everything, you will always have the same outcome with the AIs, which makes this minigame actually very consistent. But if you mess up your timings or your movement or stuff like that, it can become a pain to do. But this looks like everybody got it so far. I don't see anyone really struggling. Oh, Ben. Okay. That's a little close with Crunch, but it was still fine. Good job by all the runners with this minigame. And now, here's the fun part. We have to do all those tracks again. Because in Diddy Racing, when you beat a boss for the first time, you unlock what's called silver coin races, which is essentially the same thing as we just did, except you have to win and collect all the silver coins. So instead of going through the levels just as fast as possible, we have to do a bunch of small detours just to make sure we get all of the coins. Obviously, we have optimal paths for that, so you're gonna see the racers still going very fast through these levels. It usually has about, I would say, 5 to 10 seconds per track, maybe a little more on some of the more complex ones, but no, those have been pretty optimized at this point. So great cutscene skip by MorKs again. Let's see if Brack can get this one. Yes, good cutscene skip. Great. So another thing I have to mention with the car here. We haven't really talked about it, but there's a trick in this game called A-tapping. And what A-tapping is essentially is kind of like feathering the throttle. And the reason we're doing that is because the way the speed is calculated, it's like a certain formula which you know, given what is happening, gives you your speed. And turns out when you release the A button, the game counts. Basically, it removes your traction, and since the traction of the cart is part of the formula to calculate your speed, every time you release the A button, you get a small speed boost, because even though you have no throttle, the fact that you have no traction for a fraction of a second actually makes the calculation give you a bit more speed. So by constantly tapping the A button about 4 to 5 times a second in a certain rhythm, you just constantly go a little over the actual top speed, so that's pretty neat. You don't want to do it while you're boosting though, because the boost is faster than the A tap, and holding A while you're in the boost slows down your cart, so you essentially just do it between your boosts. So after a 2-hour run, it can be a bit difficult to do at first, but it's not too bad. And oof, Praxity taking a little bet here. I'm not sure I didn't see what happened, but Always slick. Oh yeah. So the AI in this game is, in general, a non-factor, but there's a couple of tracks that this one specifically is known on lap 2 to just kind of drop stuff in the way right in front of the zipper on lap 2, and that's what happened to Brack, where sometimes just nothing you can do to avoid it, and you just end up in the pound in the water. So it's very unfortunate. It doesn't happen too often though. Like for the most part, as you see, our runners are just blasting through the races, and we're pretty much lapping everyone every single race. But a lot of the danger from the AI comes when you're lapping them, because sometimes they can shoot you with the missile. They can drop oil slicks, spike balls, bubbles, stuff like that. Alright, so now let's talk a little more about the plane here. As you've been seeing, probably, when you're in plane, our runners are just kind of doing these barrels all over the place, and it's not just for style. While it is stylish to do so, barrel rolling is actually the fastest way to travel in plane. So when you barrel roll, you kind of just, when we talk about boost speed earlier, when you get zippers and balloons, barrels kind of work the same way, where as you chain barrels, you kind of gain this boost speed And you can go very, very fast if you chain a lot of them. There's like a certain cap that you reach, but it takes a few barrels. But that cap is like way higher than just driving around normally. So, in every single playing track, you're just gonna see our runners do as many barrels as possible to go fast. It is extremely risky to do in many tracks. If you bonk in plane, you can pretty much lose 5 seconds at least, minimum. Because when you bonk and you have a lot of speed, as you do when you barrel roll, you get a severe knockback from the wall. And it takes a lot of time to get that speed back up, and yeah, you use a lot of time. So, you know, these runners have trained a long time to be able to do these barrels without doing any mistake. It's a really big part of, you know, saving time in this game. Alright, so here MorKs is gonna try Tricky again, see if he gets the good RNG here. Doesn't seem so for the first try. Let's see what Brack. A little bit of a wonky attempt here, but could have still worked. Okay, so MorKs' second try, actually pretty good for a marathon. So MorKs is going to be our first runner out of downed main. And Brack seems to be right behind. So now we're string a reset. Do not worry, we're not resetting the run. There's actually multiple reset built into the route where we are skipping cutscenes. So it's completely normal. Do not freak out. And yeah, now we're gonna be heading to our second world, which is gonna be Snowflake Mountain. But first, we are gonna have to do a car challenge. So our favorite genie here, Taj, he has multiple challenges that we have to beat from golden balloons. In fact, there's like one for car, one for hover, and one for plane. And the one for car is essentially just a circle, so we're just gonna drift around here, as you see. Very simple. Just a little NASCAR track here. The reason we're drifting around and not just driving around, drifting is actually slightly faster. It's not always faster, especially if you're boosting, it's not faster. But for the most part, it's faster. And also for the ending, if we don't bonk on the tree, you can just cut the grass and reach the middle. And the reason it's really good is because, as you see, the Taj mat in the middle is where you can honk to call Taj to switch vehicles. So by ending up near the pad, we can go to plane, which is required to reach the next world. So not only we're saving time to finish the race, but we're saving time to get to the next level. So. Alright, so first we see Frosty Village, one of the laggiest track in the game. We'll see how our runners do here. Often, this is a very hit or miss track in the community. I personally love it, but I know a lot of people don't because of the lag. We'll see how our runners do here. Seems pretty good so far. And the Ben finishing car challenge. Actually, Ben is not that far behind. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in this run. Unfortunately, I think Ben had a rough RNG go at Tricky, so it's a bit behind. There's more RNG to come. So on lap 2 here, you have to watch out a lot. Often the AI will drop a bunch of spike ball at the end of the lap. So it's very easy to just get caught in them and lose a bunch of time. But I don't think any runner so far had any trouble with that. Ooh, and Ben actually saved that. That was crazy. So, what you're gonna see a lot is that physics of DK are actually quite janky. And sometimes you just start bouncing around, and Ben actually controlled it really well and still got the zipper, so good job. Alright, Snowball Valley, probably the most hit and miss track in the game, at least one of the most hit and miss. You can go blisteringly fast here, but you can also bunk like 10 times. It's one of the other. And there's also the key of the world here, hidden in this little alcove here. We actually used to restart the race and take the key like outside the actual race here. But it's actually like slightly faster to just get it within the race if you turn around properly. So that's what our runners are gonna do. Oh, and Prac with a little bit of what is happening? So a little bit of spinorama here from Prac, just you know, showing off a little bit. But
Just a few tricks.
yeah, just a few tricks. Happens. Some it's just DKR things. You know, if you see that, it's just DKR things. So a great cutscene skip by MorKs, I think they got, and the Prac unfortunately missing it. Also, you see the snowball. If you get hit by a snowball, you get squished. You become a pancake essentially, and it's not good. You don't want that. So don't go into the snowballs. Alright, Everfrost Peak. One of the hardest track in the game, if not the hardest by some people standard. Very, very difficult to optimize and plane. So I actually don't know what these guys are doing as for strats. Okay, MorKs goes for the double balloon. That is also a strat where you use the ground zipper instead. There's a lot of different strats for, especially in plane tracks. There's like playing is like so difficult. There's like just so many different strats you can do, depending on like what you're comfortable with. As you see now, MorKs going for the ground zipper on lap 2, showcasing all the ways you can do this track. I guess we haven't pointed it out so far, but it is possible to use the ground zipper in plane, while it is not possible to use the hair zipper in car, which is kind of weird. But for some reason, the dev made it so that they don't work in car. But for hover, they can use all kinds of zippers, and there's even like a hover-specific zipper, which is pretty rare, but it exists, and it's also used for hover. There's even like a little bit of an oddity on this level on Frosty that we've seen earlier, where there's a hover zipper on the plane track, but on the hover version, there's no hover zipper, which is kind of weird. A little bit of DKR oddities here. Alright, so Walrus Cove, one of two tracks with a loop. For some reason, loops tend to be in good tracks. I don't know why, but it's actually possible to clip out of the loop. It is extremely difficult though, but you can just kind of go out of bounds, and it is not useful, sadly, for this level. But it's just kind of cool to drive around out of bounds. And at the ending here, I don't know if we've seen it yet, but the ice on the side at the end is kind of like a trampoline. You just kind of like bounce around if you hit it, and you lose all your speed. So you want to avoid the ice of all costs, and stay on the super narrow path here. Exactly like Prac is doing. That was a great job. Alright, let's see MorKs if he can do ending here and set up for the cutscene skip. Oh, that was a great cutscene skip. Coming in with a lot of speed like that, you need to time it very well to get it. It was pretty good. So let's see if Prac can replicate the same thing. Sadly missed it. In my opinion, it is one of the harder ones in the game, so missing this one is pretty common. Alright, so here we have Bluey the Walrus, and this is gonna be our first hover track. So there's like a lot more car and plane track than hover in 100%. So like each track has a default vehicle, and that's the one that's used in the adventure mode. And there's only 3 default vehicles for hover, and 2 bosses, so like 5 tracks in total. So don't see it too often. But as you see, MorKs is doing a technique called snaking. So snaking is going back and forth, and the reason we're doing this is that if you hold the R button and you turn, it's actually programmed into the game that you gain a little bit more speed by turning while holding R and hover. Not sure exactly why it is a thing, but it is a thing, and we can abuse it by going back and forth and kind of just gain a little more speed than we would usually be able to get by just going straight. So actually very, very, it hurts a lot to do a lot of times in a row. And we're about to do it a lot more here in the hover challenge. So it's gonna be a straight minute of pure pain of snaking around. So I see MorKs shaking the hand. It's actually probably one of the hardest thing to learn in the game, just because you cannot do it for long periods of time when you're starting. You know, I would, if you guys want to try snaking, like, it's actually really terrible for your hands until you get used to it. As you see, you're just gonna go back and forth pretty quickly while A-tapping, while holding R, while, you know, making sure you go in the right path for the optimal line, so it becomes fairly difficult. And then normally in the track, just like boost and stuff, but for the hover challenge, there's absolutely no boost, no nothing, so it's just pure snaking. So it looks like all of our runners are going to be doing a hover challenge now. So not too far apart right now. Still anyone's game. A little bit of a bump back here. So what MorKs is doing now, as you see, is cutting through the right side of the snow there. If you go too far to the right, you can actually get DQ'd. And if you get DQ'd, you have to restart the entire challenge. So you do not want to do that. You want to make sure you don't go too far to the right there. And there's actually another trick here at the start-finish line. I don't know if our runners are going to go for it. Yes, so you see Ben going to the right of the bridge here. The actual intended path is to the left of the bridge, underneath the bridge. If you go to the right and you go just slightly too far to the right, you also get DQ'd. So it is a risky strat, but it is a more direct path. So you save, I think, half a second every lap if you do it, or like a second, something like that. So it's a small time save, but it's a huge risk. But normally, you know, we do it a lot, so we don't tend to get DQ'd. Alright, Treasure Caves. Probably one of the craziest car track. So let's see if MorKs gets a strat here. No. So there's like a way to change the zipper here in the cave, which is absolutely nuts. And you have so much speed and it's so hard to control, but when you get it, it feels amazing. So let's see if round 2 we get it. Yeah, exactly like this. Though you hit the water a little bit, so it's slowed down. But you get the idea. So you kind of like chain the balloon into the first zipper and then you flew to the second zipper. So let's see if Pratt can get it. I don't know if Pratt goes for it. I think he does. Oh, he does. Kind of like that, yeah. It's a good example. Going up the hill there, as you see, our runners are like missing the blue balloon going up the hill at the start. I cannot tell you, I cannot describe to you how much jank this uphill is. I don't know what it is. When you try to go up that hill, you don't know if you're gonna end up getting pushed to the left or the right. It's so hard to actually get the blue balloon while going fast. I don't know what it is with that uphill, but it is crazy difficult. So nice cut and skip from Breck. Let's see if Ben can have a good last lap here. Ooh, it was a 39, it was good, but unfortunately he missed a cutscene skip, which, and my Treasure Caves is pretty hard too, so. And now MorKs finishing Perth Lagoon. Perth Lagoon is a very, very fast race. There's a ton of boosts everywhere. And a great cutscene skip by MorKs. However, cutscene skip tends to be among the hardest, just because when you do a cutscene skip, you usually want some kind of like visual reference. Whether it is the finish line, like a mark on the wall or something like that. But the problem with hover is that the finish line is underwater. And so the visual reference is not that easy to see. And you're coming in really fast too, so it feels good to get the hover cutscene skip. And now we are in Christian Island on this side of MorKs. It is the track with the key of Sherbet Island. I don't know if he goes for the lap 2 or 3. Looks like it is going to be lap number 3. That actually doesn't really matter on this track. As long as you get it not on lap 1, it's all good. Also, don't be me. Don't forget it. You know. I tend to forget this one for some reason. All right. MorKs not forgetting. Oof, it can be a little difficult to turn in the water here. Also, a little speed strats here. If you hug the wall and you turn it slightly into it while you're in the water, you actually go faster than just driving straight in the water. So I think it has to do with like you being on the wall, like, giving you a little more traction. So you actually get to go faster. Another great cutscene skip. So let's see. I didn't see if Prak has a key or not. Oh, he's going for it now. Oh, and also going wide here. Not the greatest key grab. Let's see if Ben can give us a good key grab here. No pressure, Ben. And taking it out on the drumstick. That's the usual way you vent your frustration in this game. You just start shooting at AI. It feels great. Or you honk. So that was a great key grab by Ben. Thank you for showcasing how it is done normally, like going wide.
Wow.
And yeah, now the honks as I was just talking about. But yeah, MorKs doing whale bay. Whale bay can be very annoying, especially for this whale here. You kind of have to slow down to wait for it to be able to like come out of the water so that you can jump on the pirate ship. If you go too fast, it just won't be there in time. And sometimes too, even if it's there, jumping off the whale at the right time to go up can be very difficult. Fortunately though, on lap 3, because the AI is about where the whale is, the whale will already be up, so you can kind of just boost off the whale and go super fast. Happens. Yeah, this whale-bay cutscene skip is usually amongst, I would say, the top 3 hardest, people say. Generally, it feels like most people miss it, if you have to miss one. So we'll see Prak here. Oh, Prak not boosting up the whale, interesting. Opting to keep the boost for the end, which is not a bad idea because, well, it didn't pay out this time, but personally I think it's easier to cutscene skip and hover while you're boosting into the finish line. So that wasn't a bad idea. But unfortunately it didn't pay out this time. Ben opting for the same strategy. And actually gets it out of the right side. That's a ballsy strat. There's not much reference to know when to pause out there, so. But that is technically the most direct path to the finish line, so it's pretty optimal. Nice to see MorKs here fighting Bubbler the Octopus, and what Bubbler does is he goes around and drops a bunch of spike balls, and you just gonna have to go around and not hit them, and go fast, I guess. The love is snaking. I don't know if we're gonna see it today, but if you go really, really fast, you can actually lap Bubbler right before the end of the race. Oh, and nothing gonna happen with that spike ball, that's for sure.
Oops.
And then we'll see if either Prak or Ben can do it. It is a very tight window to lap the Octopus here. I think you need like a 55 or 56, which is really good. So we'll see Ben here, Prak here. I think Prak is too far. Usually you have to see the Bubbler in this tunnel, and I didn't see him. Yep. So no lapping here. This might be a chance with Ben, but I think it's a bit too far behind. That was close. That was close. That was the closest one. But yeah, now we go back in the overworld and we have our last task challenge, which is gonna be a plane challenge, and it can be very difficult. As you see, if you turn in plane and you lose there's like a bunch of lag, sometimes the game just kind of lose all your speed, and the problem when you lose your speed in plane is you cannot barrel. So you can only initiate a barrel if you have a certain amount of speed. So it's very important when you do these really sharp turns that you try to keep as much speed as possible so you can keep barrel rolling. And MorKs having a tough time here. But to be fair, it is a very difficult challenge to do optimally here. When you start doing bonks and stuff, it's easy to start making more mistakes. That was a rough run, but that's fine. Been doing really great so far. So now we have Track and Ben are like pretty much neck and neck here. About 10-second difference. Seems to be doing pretty good for both of them. Alright, so one thing you've noticed, so now that MorKs is starting to do trophy races, so there's one trophy race per world, and obviously you're going to need to win the golden trophy, the first place trophy, for each of the world to count for 100%. But one thing we haven't noticed, I haven't talked about is when we did Down Domain, we did all of Down Domain except the trophy race. But when we went to the Snow World and the Sherbet World, we only did the first half of the world, and there's a very good reason for that, which we're going to see pretty soon. And it has to do with the trophy race here. So, but we need to get through this trophy race first. So very good track from MorKs. One thing to note is that in trophy race you do not have the cutscene skip, so that's a nice break of these frame perfect pauses. Usually when I get there too in my runs, I'm pretty happy because I don't have to worry about it for a while. The track finishing is at Lake as is Ben. .35 is a pretty good time. Ben should also have a pretty good time here. Just shy of 35. Oh, I guess I can talk about this strat. So there's a strat in Fossil Canyon called Canyonless. Obviously, a little nudge at the Canyonless in SM64, but essentially, if you watch Braxity's screen here, if you grab the balloon on the right here and you quickly drift into the zipper and you use your balloon at the jump, you can kind of jump over the canyon and you keep a lot of your speed. And you can keep it all the way into the other set of balloon, get the blue balloon, and then boost even further. So that is the optimal strat on Fossil Canyon. It is very difficult to do. It's not like well, I wouldn't say very difficult, but it takes a long time to get used to it, at least. Track showing how it's done. Yeah, pretty good. And then Ben also getting a. So you get a little moment there. Sometimes, especially on Fossil Canyon, you can get stuck on little bumps and like in the road, and like you saw, sometimes it just kind of kills your speed, and there's nothing you can do about it. It is Fossil Canyon. All right, so the trick here, you're gonna see MorKs go out of bounds, but it's gonna be very different. So he's gonna turn around and go towards the finish line, and he's actually gonna hit a hidden wrong warp. And so by hitting a wrong warp, we get sent to the Dragon Forest lobby, which is one of 3 options that can happen. And by going to the lobby here, we're actually gonna backtrack to one of the levels that we've done the half for, which in this case is gonna be Sherbet Island. And we're gonna go to the minigame, and this is very important, that we go to the minigame after wrong warping. But first, we're actually just gonna do the minigame normally. So there's a strat here where if you do a certain pattern that MorKs is doing right now, you can really quickly dispose of all the AI. Oh, and Praxity doing the wrong warp, I'm actually getting another outcome, which is the overworld spawn. And the overworld spawn actually is faster, but if you get it, you have to go to the Snow World first, as it is faster. route-wise. Ben unfortunately didn't get it, so he's going back to Sherbert along with MorKs. So in both of these cases, the first thing you do after run warping is completing the minigame first. So you just want him to complete it normally first. As MorKs just did, he got the first place. He's gonna get the piece of the amulet for completing the minigame first. Now's the interesting thing. When we run warp out of Volcano in the trophy race, at this point, the game still considers us in the trophy race mode. And is still awaiting a fourth race result to give us a trophy. So what we're gonna do here, so MorKs is actually gonna intentionally take damage to lose as fast as possible. And the best way you can do it in this minigame is just, you know, throwing a spike ball and then hitting yourself. And Prax is gonna do the same thing for Icicle Pyramid. And by doing that, you get the fourth place, which gives you the fourth place amount of points in the trophy, which happens to give you enough points to win the trophy. So by doing a minigame for 15 seconds, we essentially skip an entire track worth of time by just doing that. So that is called trophy storage. And Prac did the exact same thing with Icicle Pyramid. And essentially, the route is gonna diverge here because they got a different RNG with the run warp, but they will converge afterwards. And the Ben also getting it. Prac struggling with the Frosty Village coin. Frosty Village coin often in the community referred as like the hardest silver coin challenge. I don't know if I agree with that, but it is certainly one of the hardest. While Treasure Caves, I would say, is also one of the hardest. So regardless of like which RNG you get and which wall you do first, you start with a very hard challenge here. Pirate Lagoon coin, you kind of have to like just ignore all the boosts at the start, and you just kind of have to do a completely different pattern than you would normally do. It's probably one of the most different route of the normal race versus the silver coin race, just because of like how out of the way the coins are. So you have to drive it very differently, at least for lap 1. Then lap 2 comes and you know, go back to business. And then Prac also starting his second race here. Ooh, great chain of boosts by MorKs here. If you chain all of those boosts, you can go very, very fast in Pirate Lagoon. Let's see if he gets a skip, and he does. Perfect. Oh, and Prac getting squished by the snowball. Exactly what we were talking about earlier. You kind of become a pancake for a second. You don't lose all that much time, but you know, you still lose time, and you don't want that to happen. And squished again. Oh, and this time he actually got completely stopped. That was very unfortunate. Ends up getting the skip though. Good job. No, at the end of the day, if you get the skip, you still save 6 seconds every time. So even if you lost like a second or two during the race, at least you don't lose 6 seconds because of the cutscene skip. So the most important thing is still to get those. And now Area Frost Peak coin for Prac, which in my opinion is probably the hardest playing coin challenge to do well. There's a lot of coin out of the way. Yeah, and something that if you watch the back screen here can happen. So when you're in plane, and this is very annoying, but if you're driving close to the ground, sometimes your wing just kind of gets stuck into it and you can't really turn. So what happened there is because Prac was like at the ground level and he tried to steer, and the hill was going up, right? so he got stuck into it and couldn't turn it and bonked, so that's very unfortunate. So that's why you usually try to stay away from the ground unless you're trying to use a boost. So Mor's coming up on the last race of Sherbert here with Welby. See how he does. Getting stuck a little bit. So yeah, so when you go up the well there, you actually want to. So the problem is when you are in hover, right? You're holding the R button, you're snaking all over the place. But when you're getting up the well, you want to like re-tap the R button at a specific time to jump, to not get stuck on the ledge there. And it can be actually quite finicky to do that. Because sometimes too, because you're like on the well, and the well is like, if the well is like coming up at the same time, you don't always get the jump, and it can be pretty annoying. And I see MorKs is still missing a coin. Okay, he sees it and gets it. Usually it's always a little bit of a worry if you see that you're missing a coin on lap 3. You'll never know if you missed something, or if you're gonna forget it.
I forgot it.
You forgot it? Well, I'm happy that I reminded you.
No, I mean, I knew like at the end of lap 2, I was like, oh yeah, right.
Okay, yeah. So it happens sometimes. Obviously, you're not gonna see this today because we have amazing runners that are not gonna do that. But if you finish your race and you're missing one coin, you don't get the balloon, so you have to start over again. So that's the worst mistake you can probably do. Alright, so the second race with Bubbler here. Essentially, this is exactly the same thing as the first one. The only difference is that there's one less blue balloon that we're going to be using, because it just doesn't exist. And Bubbler, instead of dropping spikes, drops bubbles. And bubbles in this game are super harsh. When you get caught into the bubble, you essentially start floating for like 3-4 seconds before it pops. Like it's very terrible. Hopefully we won't see our runners showcasing that today. Oof, that was a lot of crazy physics there, going all over the place. And on the practice side, he's gonna be doing the second Bluey race, and the only difference there is essentially just less blue balloon as well. So nothing much to do. Oh, get stuck behind it though, but with snaking, able to get ahead of Bluey, which is good because if you're behind Bluey in the tunnel, it's really hard to get past him because he's so big. He takes basically the entire tunnel, so you don't want to be stuck behind for sure. Is Prek gonna do it? Yes, so what Prek did there is a snowball boost. So while in car you get completely squished and pancaked if you get run over by a snowball. For some reason, if you do the same in hover, you don't get squished, and on top of that, the snowball often just push you forward, so a little difference. That's pretty cool. And so now we're gonna do the trophy again. So when we did trophy storage earlier, and we got the trophy via the mini game, which is way faster than doing the trophy normally. That's something we do for every single world except down the domain itself, because that would just be silly to warp out of the last race. So I hope you guys enjoyed down the main tracks, because we're gonna see it a couple more times. And then 36 for MorKs. Pretty good. So a decent lead so far, about an inch and leak ahead of both Prek and Ben, but Prek and Ben are actually really close right now. Seems like Ben caught up a lot to Prek. Oh, and oof! I was gonna say a great canyon last, but unfortunately missed the balloon there. If MorKs had gotten the balloon, it would have been absolutely amazing. It had a lot of speed going into it. Also, something I don't know if we've talked about it so far, but you can actually steer your car in the air. So what you do when you see our runners here jump into the tunnel in the Fossil Canyon, you're gonna see that if you get a really good jump, you can actually kind of like steer your car to the left into the tunnel, and you know, so you can angle yourself better for the rest of the track. We're gonna see it for Ben and Prek on lap 2 and 3. And a pretty good canyon less for Ben here. Get a lot of speed. Let's see Prek with a lot of speed. As you saw Prek as a very good example. As he jumped off the little descent here into the tunnel, he was able to ult to the left and kind of just like push his car further into the tunnel than you would normally be able to if you wouldn't be able to steer in the air. So it's a very good example. Oh, and oof, Conquer deciding to be mean to MorKs here. My boy Conquer. Not a fan of MorKs today. Alright, so Hot Top Volcano coming up. So the same thing is gonna happen. We are gonna see MorKs go out of bounds, hit the hidden loading zone to wrong warp out of the trophy. Well, let's see what he gets here. So there's 3 outcomes. We already seen 2 of them. And we see the overworld again. And that's actually really good because he needs to go to Snowflake anyway, and so he just spawns closer to it and saves like, I think it's like 10 seconds almost by getting overworld. So big time saves. So now it's going to be the same thing that we saw with Prek. So we're going to be winning Icicle Pyramid. I didn't talk about it when Prek did it, but there's actually a very specific strat to do here. And if you do it properly, you will get all the AI to come up here and for a very easy minigame. So that's AI manipulation. So essentially, if you do exactly the same movement every time, you can manipulate them, right? So just like that, all the AI came up here, and you can just camp the balloon and get dispose of the AI very, very quickly here. So very well done by MorKs. Before we found that strat, this minigame used to be like the biggest run killer, because you would never know where the AI would go. Sometimes they would just run around in the basement, and then you would have one at the top, one at the basement, one in the middle. Then you wouldn't know who to chase, where to go, and so this strat is a real blessing to the speedrun of this game. Just being able to do the same strat and have consistent result every time. Not only consistent result, but very fast result too. Like it's just the best of both worlds already. Alright, so MorKs executing the 4th place here to get the trophy. Well done. As we see Ben completing the minigame, and now Prek, obviously, because since Prek got overwhelmed on the first warp, and he had to go to the other way around and do Snowflake first and then Sherbert second, now he's gonna be doing what we just saw MorKs and Ben do and complete Sherbert here. Alright, great start from MorKs here. It's a little strat you can do when you like spawn into Fossy Village. As you saw, you can like boost yourself down to the middle, and then you can bounce up the middle all the way to the coin. So it's actually a little neat strat that I came up with. Pretty happy about that one. And now I have to go to the right side for the other ones. And both Ben and Prek were able to get the trophy and get the amulet. But actually Prek still has to go back in and get the trophy here. But it's gonna take only a little second. Oh, and MorKs fortunately had the shield there because he just ran over in the Ores Lake, but without the shield it would have ended up in the wall and would have lost a few seconds there. But fortunately he had the shield. usually runner, we try to aim for the shield here because there's actually quite a decent chance to get hit here. The AI usually drops things, stuff in the lap 2 here. But the problem is the uphill up to the end of the tunnel is really bumpy and you're going really fast and it's really laggy, so it's actually really easy to miss the shield. But when you get it, it's always pretty nice. Well, Ben was doing a little bit of this drift there. Let's see what he does. I don't know which one he has missed. Oh, well, that was very unfortunate by Ben, boosting straight into the ball there. Just the AI just knew exactly where to drop that. And the thing too is that you're going so fast, right? And you're coming in kind of blind there, because you just like there's like a drop, and the AI actually tends to put spike balls there, but you never know exactly where it is. And yeah, unfortunately, it was exactly in the Ben's path. Let's see. And misses a cutscene skip too. There's a little bit of a rough one. Oh, and Moore's also missing cutscene skip. Mistakes all over the place right now. But yeah, the snow track tends to be amongst the hardest for cutscene skips because of the lag. Meanwhile, Prak enjoying the sun in Perth Lagoon. Doing pretty good, as I think this first lap was 25 for coins is pretty good. When MorKs had a little bit of a weird angle there with his barrels, but neatly avoided bunking and actually went. It was actually a pretty good recovery there. I would have probably bunked if I was there. And that band missing another cutscene skip. Unfortunate. And Track getting Perth Lagoon, that's very good. Let's see if Morse can get this one. Oh, that was a very good last lap too, and with the cutscene skip, that was very good. 104 coin, Everfrost Peak, definitely welcome for sure. Oh, and Brack actually missed that point, I think. Very unfortunate. He's kind of out of the way, so like when you go for a one, it's out of the way. It really sucks when you actually miss it, because it means that you have to lose more time to go get it next lap. Alright, so this time you should get it. Yep, perfect. And rough bunk there. I don't actually know which one is missing. The up one, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a bit rough. So the coin there on the pirate ship is actually quite difficult to do well, because when you drop, you need to do like a 180 as you drop, which you cannot really do well in car at all. And you know, sometimes you have like all the lag, and then you have no speed, and it's just like really just janky to do. What's more, with a great ending there. It's a really good lap transition. Now slowing down for the coin. You kind of have to slow down for the coin on the left here, unfortunately. I've been trying for years to get it full speed, but I never can. So kind of one of those things. Oh yeah. Oh no. Okay, so this is the worst thing you can do. I'm so sorry, MorKs.
God, yes. I did it again.
So what happened there? And I've done that before, so don't feel too bad. I've done that on record pace before. So what happened is that he was trying to get the cutscene skip, right? And sometimes you just pause and then you unpause, pause, repause. But sometimes you just kind of expect to get it, and then you do the input down the menu. And if you do that too quickly without actually confirming you get it, what can happen is that if you can return to lobby without actually crossing the finish line, which means you never get the balloon, which means you have to redo the track. So, and obviously on a track like this, which is like 1:30 long, that's 1:30 time loss. So that's like the absolute worst thing you can ever do in the Decon race. It's just
Thanks.
yeah, it's like resetting the race right before the end. But hey, now it's race is a little closer. So thank you, MorKs. Well, yeah, that's really unfortunate. I know how it feels. It feels terrible.
It's fine.
And oh, that was a great buffer by Ben. So, we have Brack going to do Bubbler 2, and and Ben also doing Bluey 2. I think they're actually pretty much equal. We're gonna see exactly when the boss is done. But Bubbler is quite a bit faster to do than Blue is quite a faster. Oh, and Brack showcasing the bubbles here. You do not want to get caught in the bubbles. I don't know what's going on here. As you see, when you're stuck bang Bubbler, it just bubbles everywhere. And it's really easy to get caught in. Oh, really close. You almost got sniped there. But yeah, finally I had the Bubbler, so it should be in the clear now. This is why so I think what happened, I didn't see it, but usually what happens if you get stuck behind is that you miss the start boost. If you miss the start,
I got the bad one.
yeah, if you get the bad start boost there, you get stuck bang Bubbler and then you get hit, and it's terrible. Like, it's probably the most important start boost in the game, honestly. Just to not get caught in the bubbles. Alright, so Ben resetting, actually taking the lead now. About, I would say, not even 10 seconds faster than Brack, so they're pretty close. And the MorKs is, you know, on the catch-up mode, going as fast as possible. Let's see if we can get a nice snowball boost here. Well, actually a pretty good boost. Alright, so our runners are on their way back to down the main, and this time around we're actually going to be doing the trophy for Dino, so there won't be any wrong warp this time, so it's going to be pure driving. So we'll see who can do the best here. With a lot of speed from Ben. Always feels great to chain all of the boosts here. So it's actually possible, it's actually really difficult, but on Ancient Lake, the first set of balloons, it's actually possible to get both of the balloons at the same time. It is a little bit faster, but it's extremely precise, and it's at the speed that we're going, it's actually really hard to like line it up. So yeah, great Ancient Lake from Ben and Brack. Yep.
What is the mashing technique between trophy races? Like the loading?
Oh yeah, so it's actually probably the most recent find in the game, actually, I think. So when we used to just mash the A button in the transition here, as MorKs is doing, but actually the fastest way to travel to go through the transition is to mash A and start you know, not at the same time. You essentially alternate. Yeah, you alternate between both of the inputs, and you go through the. I think you save like half a second if you do it properly on every transition. It's actually quite crazy that we didn't know that for the longest time. So every time you do a track in the trophy race mode, you want to do that for sure.
I thought everyone did it. That's what I did from the start.
Really? And nobody knew. So the funny thing is that if you don't do that, and you just spam A, you actually like can lose a ton of time by just not spamming A fast enough. And I know I'm gonna shout out my boy Sweener here that lost world record because he lost like 2 seconds over me on mashing A in the transition, and he lost record by a second. So you know that was really important. But you know, when we figured out that you can just like do A and start, and it's like way faster, and it removes the RNG of like mashing A as fast as possible, that sometimes the A button doesn't register or whatever. It's you know, it's been pretty nice time save, making the time more consistent.
I haven't been doing it this whole run.
Yeah, I mean I usually forget. Yeah, you know when you've been doing the same thing for 8 years, and then you have like a new trick like that, it's sometimes you forget.
More boomers.
Yeah, DKR boomers. Alright, so MorKs is gonna do the fast strat for HTV instead of doing the wrong warp. So it's faster to go out of bounds later in the regular race, simply because essentially you collect more bananas, right? And the more bananas you have, you go faster, as we explained earlier. So even though you're going out of bounds a bit later, you end up just catching the time up and going having faster time at the end. And a great out of bounds by MorKs here. And Ben getting the trophy, perfect. I know I saw Prek having a little bit of a trouble here with the wrong way. So as much as it looks easy to just go back and forth, right? If you miss a certain checkpoint and it gives you the wrong way, you have to go back to get it, and turning around, and it always loses a bunch of time. So you have to be careful to be able to hit all the checkpoints. And then MorKs gonna complete it here. Alright, still pretty close between all the runners. Oh, and Ben got the meme where sometimes you just go between the balloon there and you don't get them. So, and that kind of sucks because you know, you come in with a lot of momentum and you expect the balloon. It happened again. Oh my god, that's really unlucky. This is just Ancient League for you. For some reason, it happens a lot on Ancient League. Alright, great entry by Prek. Alright, so let's see Ben here. How is Canyonless is gonna be? Oh,
We'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know. We just got stuck. It can happen sometime. Oh, and the tree as well. The most hated tree in the game, by some at least. But yeah, so what can happen there at Canyonless is if you go just a tiny bit too far to the left and like your wheel gets stuck in the sand, sometimes it like switches your drift around to the other side, and when that happens, then you just like bunk in the wall and get stuck. So you want to like avoid the sand as much as possible for that. And looks like a great Canyonless to end the track with. See, Prek. Unfortunately, he had the boost, but he also collected a green balloon, so he lost his boost there. And let's see if MorKs can get a good Canyonless. Actually, pretty good. Got stuck a little bit on the wall there, but overall was pretty good. You know, as long as you don't fully bonk or miss the boost there, you're pretty happy for a Canyonless. You don't really need a perfect one. So Ben and MorKs like pretty much synced on, but on 2 laps apart. Doing exactly the same thing here. Alright, so Ben is actually gonna do our third wrong warp here. So let's see what the outcome is. And he gets the usual Dragon Forest warp. So I haven't talked about the odds of the warps here, but what Ben just got is about an 80% chance of happening. The overworld spawn that we've been seeing is about another 10%. And then there's another 10% we haven't seen so far, which is also the Dragon Forest lobby, but instead of the car, you spawn in the plane. So let's see if our runners get it here. MorKs not getting it, unfortunately. Prax struggling to hit the loading zone here. Let's see if I can get it now. Finally gets it. And no, none of the runner getting the plane, which is very unfortunate because there's actually a really cool thing you can do with getting the plane in earlier here. But that saves like, you can save up to 25 seconds. But unfortunately, nobody getting the 10% RNG. So everybody will be playing on the same level field here. No free time save. And a great 100 woods by Ben. So, as you've seen, so this is a little different, right? So for Sherbert and Snowflake, we've been using the minigame for the trophy. Unfortunately, Dragon Forest, since we don't have the minigame unlocked right now, the only thing we can do is to go to the shortest race possible, which in this case is 100 woods. So. Alright, so coming up on Ben's screen, one of the hardest trick in the game, if not the hardest trick in the game, at least for 100% runs, is this out of bounds here. So let's see if we can do it. Wow, great job. That was a really good clip to retain a lot of speed. So this one is a lot less straightforward than Out of Volcano, as you see. So the track is not just like an oval, so you have to go like around and hit the checkpoints in a very specific pattern here. Wait, let's see if MorKs can get it. Oh, very good the out of bounds too. At a little weird angle when he got out of bounds, but recovered pretty well. Then go back in bounds. And let's see if Praxity can get it too. No pressure.
I don't know what happened.
No, that was weird. I'm actually not sure what happened. But you know, Prax is usually pretty good at it. So when you miss it here, you can like try to do it again because there's like a balloon by the windmill. But the safe strat in marathon at least is just to keep going and try on lap 2. Because there's no guarantee if you go for it again on lap 1 you'll get it, and then sometimes you can just fall so far behind that you just lose. So let's see if Prax can do it this time. Yeah, that was pretty good too. So you're gonna see, I didn't see MorKs and Ben, but they probably did it. When you reach the end of the track here, you actually go back and bounce to the cutscene skip just to have some kind of like visual reference. Because as you see Prax right now, when you barrel out of bounds, you don't really have a reference. A lot of the time what runners are going to do is that we use the minimap to kind of know where we're going. But when it comes to the cutscene skip, the minimap is not precise enough, so we have to go back and bounce like Prax did. Like a very good example there. Let's see, Ben gets Greenwood. Very good. Okay, so Border Canyon, probably my favorite hover track. It can be actually quite thorough. As you see, there's like log. Oh my god, you actually went underneath the log there. You're very lucky. So usually when you go on the log, you get stuck in it, and then it starts spinning, and it spins you around, and it's just terrible. But Ben got really lucky and actually got underneath it in the water, so avoided the disaster that the log could have been. And yeah, Boulder Green is actually the track with the key of this world, so I don't know which track Ben is gonna go for it though. He's gonna go for it here. So the key is actually hidden up here, and you have to hit the bell to make the bridge go up and go get the key. It's actually a lot harder than it looks like. The bridge is very janky. Sometimes you get stuck to it on the ledge where the key is, and sometimes too the key not just like. For some reason, keys in this game in general have pretty bad hitboxes, but this one here is like very bad for some reason. So it's very often you're gonna see people just boost through the key and then fall down. But so far, both Ben and MorKs getting lucky. The key being pretty generous here. And great pause buffering by Ben to get that cutscene skip. Can be very hard with all the lag here at the end. Oh! And MorKs, yeah, as you saw, the log was like full spinning, and then MorKs just kind of bouncing on top of it right here.
That
like,
was sick!
Yeah, that was pretty sick, to be honest. Pretty wicked.
Dank racing for you guys.
Yep. And a great cutscene skip to you. Oh, and Prak getting cut on that spinning log. So, the logs don't spin by themselves, by the way. So, all of those logs have been hit by AI, which is why they're spinning. So, you have to be careful in that tree. Oh, and Prak missing the bell here. Let's see if he can get the key. And he got it, I think. Yeah, okay. It's gonna hurt sometimes. You get past the key, and then I don't hear Prak's feed right now. So usually I use the sound cue to know if I got the key or not.
I think I heard it. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. So if you get the key, you always have that little cutscene opening door after the race, which yeah you get now. So you got the key. Alright, so Ben going for Smokey. Oh boy, I love Smokey. So, Smokey, I mean, I have to shout out Sweener again, because Sweener actually found this strat on this slope. We're gonna see pretty soon, and it's I don't know, it's pretty fun to do, but it can be very hard to do. Oh, the boost. It's actually one of the, it's similar to Bubbler. You kind of want to get in front of the dragon here.
I'm gonna interrupt you for a second, OBO. We just got a raid from an Eternal Enigma for 493 people.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Enigma.
Thank you very much for the raid. Oh, and well, not only Ben getting D out of bounds, Ben also got the slingshot. So that's two different strats here. So first thing what he did here, which you're gonna see MorKs do very quickly here. We're getting the balloon, and we're gonna aim in a very specific spot on the wall to bounce back out of bounds, hopefully in the little V here, exactly like this. And while you go here, as you see, MorKs barrels in a very specific spot in the wall, and there's for some reason a kind of like a ceiling that like just pushes you down, and it gives you like an absolute insane amount of speed. So that's a really cool out of bounds. And Ben finished it in the style with a loop after the finish. Absolutely styling on. And yeah, MorKs here being careful. You know, just going around hitting all the required checkpoints. It's actually possible here, for some reason, as you see that like in the track, there's like pillars in the tunnels. The hitbox actually extend out of the bounds underneath the pillar. It's actually possible to hit it out of bounds, so you don't want to go on the like directly underneath them. Alright, let's see if Bracken gets this. And he does. Wow, every runner getting it first try. Very good job. It is not as easy as it looks. I famously have lost so many runs to this out of bounds.
Loop strat. Oh, loop strat incoming.
Yep. Oh yeah, so MorKs is gonna do our a new strat here that I may or may not have come up with recently. So it is actually possible to dupe bananas in this level. So the way this minigame works is that you can only carry 2 bananas at one time, and you have to and essentially you have to do trips all the way back to your chest to, you know, stack up your chest to 10 bananas. Turns out you can actually dupe one banana out of the two with a certain strat here. So MorKs gonna set up a spike ball here, and he's gonna go back and get more bananas, and hopefully what he's gonna try to do here, you see, he's gonna try to go back up the ramp and hit the spike ball and hopefully dupe a banana here, which he did not get. Ugh. It is a very tight timing, so the way you want to do it, essentially, you want your spike ball to be in the very edge of the range of the chest, because the way it works is that when the game starts taking your banana away, for some reason, while the banana is coming out of you, your banana counter doesn't go down immediately. So if you, like, in the first couple of frames get hit, not only does it give a banana to your chest, but you lose the banana that you didn't really have, but you still had because the number was not down. So that way you can just dupe it, but it's very, very difficult. So a big, you know, big shout out for MorKs for even trying it in the marathon round. That's crazy. It's been, you know, what, it's been a month about that? I think 3 weeks, something like that, since we've like found a setup for it. So nobody has really done it in runs yet. So all right, so ooh, a very harsh bonk for Ben. Another example of like why you do not want to bonk in plane. Oh, and MorKs missing the out of bounds. So there's like two different strats you can do here. So the most common strat is to get 5 coin, go out of bounds, and collect the last 3 on the last lap, coming in and back in bounds. The second strat you can do, which is slightly slower, but you see, it's the old strat you used to do, is collect every single coin in the first lap, and then you go out of bounds on the second one, and you come back only at the end of the third one for the cutscene skip. So, but our runners here really struggling with the out of bounds. Let's see if maybe Pratt can potentially catch up by getting it. Alright, very good job. MorKs gonna get second lap. It's actually gonna be very close because Ben missed it, I think, on both laps.
Oh, come on.
Oh, yeah, big bung of the tree. That you do not want to see that. But yeah, I think it's gonna end up being very, very close between Ben and MorKs now. And oof, I think MorKs is taking a very small lead here. It's gonna come down to the cutscene skip, and the MorKs missing it, so Ben potentially could pretty much come to a tie here, and he does. It's gonna be very, very close. Oh, it's like a second ahead. That's very, very close. Crazy race. Meanwhile, Pratt got he's doing the strat of getting all the coins on the first lap, so we'll see if he can get the out of bounds in the second one. Oh yeah, a little too far to the right. So you wanna aim for like the wall you kind of shape like a V. You wanna kind of aim for like a little bit to the left side of the V there to clip out of bounds. If you go too far to the right, you just bump like what happened there. So, and obviously it's a little hard to set up because you're like coming in pretty fast with the boost, which is required to clip. So. Oh, we'll see both our runners here. Pretty much, dude, this is like equal. This is crazy. And MorKs getting the coin on lap 2. I don't know which one Ben is missing. It's pretty soon. I think he's missing the tunnel too. Oh, no, oh, this one. Okay. Wow, this is like synced right now. Oh no, Ben missing the cuts and skip. I no longer sync. But yeah, some pretty great racing for both MorKs and Ben, and honestly, Pratt doing pretty well too. Sadly, a bit behind because of all the Wheel Planes shenanigans. That's the problem with when you get to this point in the run. When you start missing out of bounces, it's like you lose so much time. Not only are they difficult to do, but there's like so many of them in Dragon Forest that you have to do. And it's gonna be, you know, even more hard stuff coming up later too. Alright, let's see. Hopefully nobody gets caught on logs here. Usually it's mostly lap 3. Oh, that's a really great bonk stat. So I haven't really talked about it, but bonking and hover can actually be beneficial, as you saw there with MorKs. If you boost in like a specific ways in walls, like at like a certain angle, you kind of like just bounce stuff at like really high speed in the direction you want to go. So hopefully you can see it again with MorKs here. Just kind of like that. Well, it's more lag on lap 3, so you don't bounce as far, but yeah, it can be very useful. It's like the only time in the game where going into a wall is actually useful. See the cutscene skip here, and MorKs gets a great cutscene skip. Let's see if Ben can follow up here. And yes, it does. Perfect. Still very, very close between them. Let's see what's the strat on Woods here. There's many strats for this one as well. Ben, oh no, both of them opting to not go for the coin on lap 1. Interestingly enough. I think it is faster to go for it on lap 2. I personally go for it on lap 1 here. I like to keep lap 2 and lap 3 to be as fast as possible. Ben not going for lap 2 either. Interesting. Many different strats here. See that, like the science of like coin challenges is like a bit weird. It's like we never really know which one is faster, like which strat is faster, because they're all pretty much equal. So a lot of it is just down to preferences. Oh, sadly MorKs missing the cutscene here. An opportunity for Ben to potentially catch up. Oh, didn't get it. It's a bit tough here. You're like in the air, so it's kind of hard to time exactly when you're passing over the finish line. Alright, so we are going to do our second Smoky race. This is going to be the same thing. We're just going to go out of bounds again. The only difference is we really want to be ahead of Smoky at the start, because he throws even more fireball on the second race, and it's really easy to just get hit in the tunnel, so we really do not want to be stuck behind him. And the MorKs did that beautifully. See if Ben can avoid the fire at the start.
Oh, come on.
Oh. Ben actually falling behind a little bit. Okay. This is scary. Yeah, this is what happens if you fall behind. And MorKs getting the out of bounds perfectly. See if Ben can follow up. Oh, and Ben missing. Ah, that's very unfortunate. It's a lot more precise than it might look like. It's very easy to miss. And I got it second try, not too bad. Even gets the sting shot. Alright, and now we are resetting. So at this point of the game, there's only really one row left. And the first Whisper race too, so we're getting on the tail end of the run here. And Ben is gonna follow MorKs pretty soon here. Had me a little worried here, was high a little bit. I was actually thinking it might go back and bounce, but avoided it. Oh, and Crack also struggling with the start of Smoky. And as you see, there's just fire everywhere you have to avoid. So you can't just like do your regular strat of barrel rolling and everything. Let's see if you can get the out of bounds. Yes, first try, perfect. Very good job by Crack. Overall, pretty good Smokies. I think we only had one fail, which Ben got it on the second try. So very, very good from all the runners here. And MorKs about to race the first race of Wispig. Probably the laggiest track in the game. It's very, very laggy here. And one thing you do not want to do is fall in the water here. You can actually, it's actually probably the only race you can like legitimately lose if you do mistakes. Because Wispig is actually quite fast here. So hopefully we don't fall into the water too much. And Ben also starting about a lap apart, still pretty close. MorKs not getting lots of luck with the waves. So when you do the boost there at the end, you can do them very, very fast, but sometimes what happens is that because of the waves are moving up and down, you unfortunately just like kind of clip the wave sometimes, and it just kills your speed. So, and it's pretty much RNG. So, like that was much faster by MorKs now because he didn't flip as much. Like great. So now we're gonna reset the console, though we have to wait. The game only saves when the cutscene starts, so we have to make sure we do that. And here we go. So the easy way to tell that the cutscene starts is that it kind of like fades them from the top. So when you see like the first line of pixels appear on the top, you know that the game is saved. So we can safely reset and skip the credits, because you know Rareware likes to have like mid-game credits. So, but you know we like to skip. You know we're not gonna sit through credits, so we're just gonna skip them. When Ben hitting quite a bit of water here at the end. Right, great jump by MorKs. Track actually had a lot of speed on the first lap here. Just flying through Wispig.
Shout out to Sooner.
Shout out to Sooner.
Honking at the trophy panel.
Yeah. Many shoutouts to Sooner today.
Can we talk about the Dark Moon Caverns music right now? This is amazing.
Yeah.
The best music in the game?
Yeah.
The only person on this stage that likes this level is the commentary.
Hey, Dark Moon is the best level in the game. Don't at me.
Yeah, I love doing nothing for 10 seconds on a loop.
It's amazing. No, so the thing is, here's the thing. You could do nothing for 10 seconds, or you could do the loop skip. See, I choose to do the skip, so it's pretty fun.
I'm gonna attempt it once.
Once?
Yep.
Alright.
That's where we get Blue Loop.
Blue loop.
Alright, if you go for blue loop, you're insane if you get it. Just saying. Alright, so MorKs starting what is generally considered the hardest track in the game, Space's Alley. Not only because it is default plane, and plane is just in general pretty difficult to do, but you also stuff like that, you know, spaceship just shooting you down and destroying you, so. And a bunch of electricity that can zap you, and then there's walls everywhere, you know. So, pretty difficult overall. And MorKs getting unlucky. So very famously, this track, sometimes you just kind of phase through the balloons and you don't actually collect them, and it actually affects a lot on what you can do on this level. So you really hope that you do not phase through the balloons. Ooh, that's a little weird there. Not sure what happened. You know, it's DKR physics. Always a mystery.
Come on.
Oh, I'm getting shot again. Very unfortunate. Oh, and Ben bonking. And this is why I said this is like usually considered the hardest track in the game. As you see now, our runners have been doing amazing this entire run, just completely, you know, doing so many mistakes here because it's just that much harder to be consistent here.
It's my turn.
Yeah, now it's Sprack's turn to bonk a couple of times.
My turn.
Oh yeah, and we saw here, MorKs did something very important. So, when he got the cutscene skip, he did not return to lobby. He did restart the race. Why, you might ask? Well, normally the coin races are unlocked by beating the first boss, but in Future Funland, there is no first or second boss. There's just one boss at the end, meaning that once you complete the race for the first time, the only thing stopping you from doing the coin race right after is the number on the door. But if you restart the race, the game just gonna assume you re-entered the race and you are now put in the coin challenge. So the optimal routing here is to get the cutscene skip on every single track and just restart the race to be put exactly straight away in the silver coin race, meaning that we don't have to re-enter. We're basically skipping entering 4 levels because we're just like restarting the race instead of re-entering. So we're skipping a bunch of loading and traveling between levels. So when you do that, it actually saves a 12 second. It's like almost 12 seconds per cutscene skip. Wow, I'm not sure what Ben did. Oh, did Ben went for the setup?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I missed it. I was focused on MorKs. Oh no. So what Ben did here is called a loop skip, which is pretty hard to do, and I love that strat. And you can actually do a setup where you can go for a flap, which I don't know why Ben went for that. It's slower for RTA the way he did it, but it's really cool looking. So. The absolute madman Ben.
I honestly just don't remember how to land on the track properly doing it normally, so...
Yeah, when you grind time trial for the flap there, you don't really do the other strats, so...
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to see at least one loop skip today, and you did it, so I'm happy. And I think MorKs gonna try once, and I didn't see if he tried on lap 1, but... And a great cutscene skip by Ben here. And I think Ben actually missed the first cutscene on Space Dust, so he's gonna have to go back later for the coins. But he got the one on Dark Moon, so we can just do this one now. So the routing is gonna be a bit different between runners. It really depends on like who gets what cutscene. But at the end of the day, you know, every runner has to do all 8 tracks here. It might be in a slightly different order, but. Because of the cutscene skip, but it shouldn't be too different. Great cutscene by Breck here.
I didn't balk at all. You should be proud of me.
Yeah, they actually did really well.
One last try.
Showcasing the track. One last try. Okay, let's go MorKs. Oh, yeah.
No. Never mind.
Yeah, it's actually really hard on lap 3 because the AI is in the way and it's like super laggy too, so. Good try though. I appreciate you trying to do the skip for me.
I never learned it, I just did it for you.
Yeah. It's actually really difficult, so you just even trying it's pretty cool.
Nice. I got that. I didn't get that.
Alright, so Ben looks like the last step of Darkman here. Generally, you don't also go for it on the 3rd lap because it's very difficult to time your cutscene skip coming from the loop skip, because you're like basically coming from like out of bounds. There's like no real reference, and like the camera is like it's kind of like clipped underneath the ground. It's pretty weird. But Ben actually went for it for the show, missed it, but fortunately, still got the cutscene skip here. So now what we're gonna do. FFL has a trophy, but doesn't have a mini game. But we're still gonna do the trophy storage here. So in between the first 2 and the last 2 tracks of the world, we actually go back to Dino Domain to set up the trophy storage here. And one of the reasons it's faster to go back to Dino Domain and do all of this movement, you have to consider this. When you do the Future Funland trophy, all the tracks in Future Funland are really long. Like, you know, Dark Moon is like a minute 30, Spados is like a minute 15, and you know, all these really long tracks. But like Down Domain is like what, 35-second twice and 40-second. It's like really fast tracks, right? So going back to the domain to set up trophy storage is actually super worth it because you save a lot of time over the like super long tracks of the FFL trophy if you did it normally. So yeah, we're gonna see down the main tracks a last time for this run. Actually, we see down the main 7th time in this run. It's a lot of times. So you better like down the main if you run this game because we see the dynos a lot.
I love Dino Domain.
So MorKs also making his way here. So it's a little difficult to tell who's ahead right now, just because of the difference of cutscene skip. Because I know Ben missed a cutscene skip, so he has like one more track to do when he gets back to FFL than MorKs, I think. I believe Prack has like gunned all of them so far, so doing pretty good on that front. Oh wow, Ben. I missed that. So yeah, something there's something that can happen there. So if you hit the bubble with like sideways momentum, sometimes you like not only do you go up because of the bubble, but then it kind of like just turns you around and like that, and it's terrible. And yeah, unfortunately, Ben got caught in that. It's actually fairly common for a bubble to be there, especially on trophy races. The AI just loves to drop one exactly in that spot for some reason. So sometimes you have like you don't have the greatest angle for the canyon unless you end up in the bubble, and yeah, that happens. Track making his way to down the main as well. On Ben with a pretty big bunk of the bone there. See canyonless for MorKs. No bubble for MorKs, so no chance of him getting stuck, except on Banjo apparently. Let's see another chance at the canyonless here. Not the greatest, but you know, like I say, as long as you don't bonk completely or you don't miss the balloon, it's actually not that bad. Because it's really easy for both of these things to happen, so. Alright, Ben doing the wrong warp here. Let's see what happens. And he gets the usual Dragon Forest car spawn.
Snore.
Yeah, snore. No fun stuff happening.
Yeah, I got all dragon cars. That's kind of sucks.
Yeah, so as we said earlier, this specific warp here is about 80% of the time. So that's usually what happens. You get 4 dragon car spawn, and yeah, it's pretty boring. Fortunately, both MorKs and Prack got the overall 10% chance once. We still haven't seen the Dragon Forest plane warp, which at this point would be the worst actually to get, even though it would have saved 20 seconds earlier. So
you know what that means? I'm gonna get it.
yeah, that means one of you will get it. You guys know that for sure. Let's see MorKs now. Nope, car. So Prack, you're out of luck when you get there. Alright, so what Ben is doing, so the way we set up the trophy storage, right? You typically want to tie your trophy storage with the shortest track. In this case, it is Space Plus Alpha because of the out of bounds that you're seeing here. I didn't get to explain it when Ben did it, but the MorKs is actually going to do the same thing here. And the one thing to note with this out of bounds before we get to it is that this is a Japanese version only out of bounds. And the reason is, which you're going to see very soon, is that there's a specific texture missing on this version. So MorKs is going to set up here to go in this little gap here in the box, which on all other version has a top, but on Japanese version this top has been removed. So we are able to push yourself in this little gap, go out of bounds, and then we can just fly around. And for the specific out of bounds, the way we do it, the way the checkpoints are set up, we can kind of just do a triangle out of bounds to 3 different points and just kind of go back and forth here. So as you see more, so you just kind of go to one point of the triangle and then go to the other one and then just go back and forth. So, very good job. Seems like Ben got the out of bounds scan, and Prac, I think, struggling a little bit with HTV here.
Okay.
Stop.
Oh, the loop for the fans! For the fans!
For the fans. Oh, and Prac, oh, actually, they got the Dragon Car too. Well, you guys don't get to see the good orange, unfortunately. It is what it is. It's a 10% chance, so it doesn't happen very often. Oh, and Ben bonking. Still getting the skip though, very good. And critically gets the restart, so now it gets to save 12 more seconds over missing it. So. And the MorKs here with a very good out of bounds. And we'll see Prac, now that Prac is here, we'll see if he can do it. This is definitely not one of the harder ones though. Once you know the setup, it is pretty straightforward, but it is still possible to miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately Ben seems to have missed it. Let's see Prac here. Yeah, Prac, beautiful out of bounds. And Ben going for the backup.
Stop.
Yeah, this is... I would just go forward at this point for a little bit. So the problem here, so the main strat here is to get the shield and then activate the shield and then grab the blue balloon to do the out of bounds. And the reason why we do that is because, as you saw in that room, there's just like laser flying everywhere. And critically, there's one laser that is pretty much at the height of the out of bounds, right in front of the box. And it's very easy to get hit. And so it is recommended to use the shield. If you miss the shield, it's usually a lot harder. And then MorKs, very good example here. Let's see if Ben can get lap 2. Very good.
Can I see something? Thank you.
Yeah, sometimes the map just disappears and you don't see anything. You're just gonna have to know where you're going with experience. Alright, Ben going back and bounce for his last coin. There we go. And MorKs also went back and bounced for the last couple coins. Actually skipped a lot of coins on lap 1. Usually you get 5 of them. I'm just thinking just gonna miss them. Pretty easy to miss. Oh, and
Stop.
yeah, unfortunately went a little too fast here. Missed the coin. Very easy thing to do. Meanwhile, Prac, I think, is doing some great job here. Great out of bounds.
I mean, it is the easiest one.
I mean, I would say HTV is the easiest one, but
and I failed that like 3
yeah,
times
I could agree though that this one is pretty easy. And now Ben in our last track before the last boss, which is Star City, which is I think a track pretty much everybody loves. It's a good track. At least I love it. I love Star City.
I do.
And yeah, pretty flowy. This is the only track that has like these 90-degree corners, which can be pretty tough to navigate. So our runners are gonna do a lot of what's called RB turning. So essentially, you press R and B and you get like these really sharp drift. That's gonna help a lot with those corners. Also, the infamous bridge that I'm sure a lot of you guys that have played the game have fell from. Obviously, we do not want to fall off the bridge here. Because unlike the DS version actually has like a pad that's like at the bottom if you fall. But the 64 version doesn't have that pad. So if you fall down, you have to go back to the start of the bridge and go back up. So it's pretty harsh if you fall. Alright, and Ben on his last race, I believe.
I still have space dust.
Yeah, true, never mind. I forgot that because he missed the cutscene skip, you have to go back to Space Sally. And now MorKs missing it means, I think that you have to backtrack too. I'm not sure. Or is this? Oh, this is your last one. Never mind. So MorKs seems to be in the lead, which is, I think. So it's a little bit hard to know because depending on your cutscene skip, like we said earlier, your route is going to be different in this world. So like everybody's like kind of like at different stage right now. Even though we're all in Star City, depending on like their cutscene skip, they might not be done after Star City and might have to do other tracks. So it can be a little hard to keep up with. And then so far, good race from MorKs. Oh, Ben bullying Diddy a little bit there. His shield.
He deserves it.
Yeah, he probably does. You know, who wants to play Diddy in his own game, you know? Alright, Ben going for his last track here, while MorKs is finishing his last. Still one more lap though. But yeah, Ben is gonna be trying to do split the Sally coin as fast as possible. Try to catch up, potentially. Yeah, bumper getting in the way here. This is, you know, this is the common thing on lap 3. You just kind of have to deal with the AI sometimes. And a great cutscene skip to end it. Alright, so now MorKs is the first one of our runner heading into the last race. And you're gonna see in true DKR fashion, because this is a plain track, of course it's gonna be an out of bounds. I mean, I'm sure you guys have figured it out by this point that pretty much every single track has an out of bounds, except Everfrost Peak for some reason, just unbreakable. But yeah, MorKs is gonna hope to do the out of bounds here, and Ben still has one more lap until he can go to Wispig as well. Alright, so let's hope we don't hit the rocks at the start here. Perfect. So, MorKs is gonna try to set up here to go underneath the wall on the left. Hopefully he gets it. Yeah, perfect. So now all that's left is to just go around and hit all the checkpoints. Hopefully not going either too far below or back in bounds. Either of those would be very bad. But generally at this point it is pretty straightforward when you get the out of bounds. Oh, I don't know if you got the checkpoint there. You did, okay. So the checkpoint at the top of the map there is a little bit finicky. Sometimes you can just turn a little too early and you don't get it, and you have to go back to get it. So. That's gonna work for sure.
Yeah, it did.
And yeah, time is gonna be in a few seconds for MorKs. And time.
Nice.
Very good job at MorKs. 1:51.33. Pretty good marathon run for sure. And the Datterband attempting the out of bounds right now. And I actually got it. I actually was scared. He was aiming a little to the right there.
No, that was fine.
You were scaring me. I would have been scared if I didn't. So yeah, pretty good though. Getting the out of bounds always feels great here. And the Prag's gonna be shortly attempting his out of bounds as well.
Stop.
Fans!
Loops for the fans. Alright, one more lap here.
Stop.
Okay, we get you want to swag out a little bit, but come on, you know. It's pretty cool, the looping is pretty cool. Also, good job Prag getting the out of bounds, and the band's gonna be done in a few seconds. And time, very good job, 1:52.43. Very, very good time. And now we just have to see Prag complete Wispig as well. And it looks pretty good so far. That should work. But you guys are scaring me with those barrels sometime. But yeah, time's coming for Brack, and time. Well, GG's to all the runners. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this fantastic race of Decom Racing. And yeah, I just want to big shout outs to Brack, MorKs, and Ben for the race. It was amazing to watch. Thanks for allowing me to do the commentary. And just big shout outs to the community. We are a super nice community. I would definitely recommend you playing the game and speedrun the game if you want. We're really welcoming and helpful. So yeah, thanks for having us here at NoReset. And congrats to MorKs for the win.
Yes. Hooray.
All right. Thanks for showing your run, and GG for the race.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the oncoming games will be I will try to pronounce it right. Shinrei Suja Tsuchitao Maru. Coop Hard sur Saturn avec Naram Ganjan et Sansato Kuro.